Our movie begins with John coming back from work after a long and boring day. He walks into his house and finds his wife Karen preparing lunch. John tries to talk to her about something important, but she isn't paying attention to him at all. She didn't even notice he came home. That night, the couple is watching a movie. When John tries to speak to her again, she's completely focused on the film. He gets annoyed, leaves her on the couch, and goes to his room. Karen calls him afterward because she wants to talk about something on her mind, but she hesitates and ends up changing the subject. The next morning, John wakes up and gets ready for work. He steps into the bathroom, and just as he's about to wash his face, he jumps in shock. There's a loud rumble and part of the bathroom ceiling collapses for no clear reason. John looks up through the opening and sees military jets flying across the sky. He immediately realizes something serious is happening outside. He rushes to tell Karen what he saw, but she tries once again to bring up her own topic. He doesn't give her the chance and heads outside to find out what's going on. As soon as he steps into the street, he's stunned by a passenger plane that has crashed into the building next to theirs. Before he can return home, he witnesses something terrifying: 2 zombies tearing apart a human being right in the middle of the street. John runs back to the house and tells Karen everything. She gets nervous, looks out the window, and sees the zombies herself as they attack people outside. That's when they both realize a deadly outbreak has spread, turning people into zombies. They decide to set up an emergency plan, since leaving the house now would be too dangerous. They start calculating the food and water they have so they can ration everything carefully. They discover their supplies will only last 2 or 3 days. So they agree to steal from their neighbors' homes, most of which are empty because their owners either turned into zombies or fled the city. John goes first and returns with a stash of food he stole from the Andersons' house. He tells Karen it was incredibly easy because their door was left wide open. Then it's Karen's turn to go out and gather anything useful. She gets excited and goes straight back to the Andersons' place again since it's still open. When she returns home, she's carrying bottles of alcohol. Later that night, she tells John they need a new TV and suggests he steal one with light usage, again, from the Andersons. John does exactly that. They set up the stolen TV and watch the news to keep up with what's happening in the country. The broadcast shows safety guidelines to help citizens survive the zombie outbreak. It instructs people not to come into contact with anyone infected and asks healthy residents to mark their windows with an X so rescue teams can identify them as safe. John and Karen follow the government instructions and mark their window. The next morning, John wakes up and finds Karen returning from yet another stealing mission. She brings back a bunch of clothes stolen, again, from the Andersons. At this point, their house has basically become everyone's free target. Later, John starts worrying and asks Karen how they'll protect themselves if a zombie tries to break in. She confidently says, "We'll defend ourselves, of course." So they gather anything around the house that could work as a weapon: bug spray with a lighter, some knives, hammers, and screwdrivers. That night, while they're sitting together, they hear a knock on the door. They open it carefully and find a female zombie trying to attack them, so they slam the doors shut before she gets to them. After that terrifying moment, John desperately wants a cigarette to calm his nerves, even though they don't have any. But Karen surprises him and pulls out a pack she previously stole. John asks her what else she took along with the cigarettes, so she reveals a huge stash of drugs of all kinds. John refuses at first, but once she starts using them, he gets encouraged and joins her. After they're fully relaxed, Karen casually admits she also stole a gun. The next day, Karen wakes up startled to the sound of gunshots. She finds John in the kitchen holding the gun and tells her he was just testing it. She notices the ceramic vase she inherited from her mother shattered into hundreds of pieces on the floor, and realizes he tested the gun on it. She gets upset, takes the gun from his hand, and says, "Give me that, it's not a toy," then heads to take a shower. After that, they come up with an idea. To make sure the rescue teams recognize their place when they pass by the apartments, they throw the pieces of the broken vase along with some other stuff right outside their door. Then they do some aerobics, prepare a bunch of weapons, go back to working out again, and finish it off with a good brain session. Later that night, they hear knocking on the door and see someone grabbing the handle and twisting it like they're trying to force it open. John grabs a kitchen knife, while Karen takes her ridiculous hammer, and they both stand quietly behind the door. They crack it open and find their neighbors, Leo and Emily, standing outside. They came over because zombies had taken over their place. Karen doesn't want to host them at all, but John is the complete opposite. He welcomes them in. The four of them sit in the living room, and Leo starts talking about what he and his wife went through after the plane crash, and how they hid from the zombies in the laundry room. He adds, "Then we found your broken vase and stuff outside your door, so we knew you were here." While talking, John and Karen realize their neighbors are starving. Their stomachs are growling loud enough to fill the room. The couple asks for some food, so John and Karen head to the kitchen to prepare something. Karen, clearly annoyed, tells her husband, "There's no way we're letting them sleep here. Especially Emily, I can't stand her." Meanwhile, in the living room, Emily is also complaining about Karen, saying she lost her mind after the miscarriage. At this point, it's clear the two women have hated each other for a long time, but because of social niceties, they always fake those plastic smiles. John and Karen bring the food out, and while they're eating, Emily notices Karen has a dress identical to hers. She embarrasses her by saying, "That looks just like my dress." Then Leo looks at the TV and says, "Wow, that TV looks exactly like ours." John and Karen feel extremely awkward, because they both know those things are stolen. Later that evening, Karen pulls out some bottles of alcohol she stole, and they all start drinking. Then the neighbors ask where they'll be sleeping. Emily asks, "Where are we supposed to sleep?" Karen replies coldly, "Right here on the floor, of course. Welcome, guys." Leo and Emily feel insulted, and Karen takes the chance to release all her pent-up resentment. The neighbors actually sleep on the floor, and since Karen is a spiteful woman who never misses a chance to annoy Emily, she starts playing with her husband loudly in their room just to bother her. Of course, Emily doesn't stay quiet. She jumps up and starts playing with her husband too. The poor men have no idea what's going on between the two women. The competition escalates, Karen gets louder, and pushes John to make her voice even louder. Emily eventually gives up on this ridiculous female showdown. In the morning during breakfast, Karen bluntly tells the neighbors, "I'd really appreciate it if you could clean up a bit after you eat." Emily is about to explode from anger but can't say anything. She's a guest and has to tolerate Karen's nonsense. Leo and Emily end up cleaning the whole place while John and Karen sleep on the couch. That's when Emily and Leo agree they need to get rid of John and Karen and take over the apartment. Their plan? Kill them with knives while they sleep at night. But the plan falls apart early when Karen wakes up in time and overhears them, though she pretends she doesn't. She tells John what happened, then invites the neighbors to have some cookies she's going to make. When she serves them, she's already mixed in some stolen drugs. She decides to eat them before they eat her. Leo and Emily eat the cookies without suspicion, then start having seizures until they die next to each other on the couch. John and Karen feel guilty for what they did, so they go have another brain session to forget everything. Suddenly, they hear a noise from the living room. They're shocked to see Leo standing again, even though they thought he was dead. But he looks strange, deranged. Without hesitation, Karen shoots him twice, and he drops dead instantly. Then Emily rises from the dead too, and Karen kills her the same way. John and Karen drag the bodies on a tarp to get rid of them, then go back to their usual brain routine. But with such terrible intentions, their luck only gets worse. That night, while they're in a deep sleep, rescue helicopters fly by, announcing through loudspeakers for survivors to turn on their lights so they can distinguish them from zombies. But because of the state they're in, they sleep straight through it and miss their chance to be rescued. The next morning, John and Karen wake up and head to the shower. In a moment of peace, Karen tells her husband she wants to adopt a child if they ever make it out of this. John agrees happily. At night, the couple pretends they're meeting again for a romantic date, just to break the boredom they're stuck in. After that, they head to their room to get intimate for a while. During that moment, they hear knocking on the door. Karen goes to open it, and John stands behind her saying, "Wait, let's see who it is." But she opens it too quickly. Unfortunately, they find 3 thieves right in their faces, forcing their way in to rob them. The thieves start beating them to make them reveal where they hide their valuables. Karen tells them they don't have anything worth stealing. The leader gets annoyed and orders the other 2 to beat John until he collapses. Then he turns to Karen and, in a tone like a classic movie villain, says, "As for this little cat, she's mine." He drags her into the bedroom with the intention of assaulting her. But Karen surprises him by throwing a handful of flour in his eyes, blinding him. She takes advantage of the moment and kills him with a knife. The other 2 thieves rush into the room and find their leader dead on the floor. As they prepare to attack Karen, John comes in with a gun and empties the bullets into both of them. As usual, the couple drags the bodies on a tarp to get rid of them. That night, they hear rescue helicopters circling the area, looking for houses with all their lights on so they can evacuate the survivors, just like they had announced last night on the loudspeaker. But since the couple was sleeping deeply, they never heard the instructions. The helicopters pass above them without noticing their home. The next day, the couple decides to escape with the infected crowd. They get ready and actually step out of the house, trying to flee the area because of the overwhelming number of zombies spreading through their building and the streets. But moments later, they return running after zombies attack them as soon as they step outside. Sadly, Karen gets bitten on her leg. She only has a short time before the infection spreads through her body and she fully transforms into a zombie. John tries to reassure her, telling her that once the rescue teams find them, the pharmaceutical company's vaccines will be handed out. Karen calms down a little. They return to their room to sleep, but in the middle of the night, Karen wakes up horrified from a nightmare. She wants to leave the house before the infection reaches its late stage, where she might become a danger to her own husband. When John wakes up and doesn't find her beside him, he rushes outside and catches her just before she leaves the apartment. Then he decides to help her however he can. He draws some of his own blood into a cup and gives it to her to drink so she can hold on a bit longer until the rescue teams arrive. After some hesitation, Karen listens to him and drinks his blood. The next morning, the couple stands by the window looking at the street, realizing they're the only people who haven't left the city yet. But John reassures her, saying, "I've planned everything right. It's only a matter of time. The rescue team will arrive tomorrow and give you the vaccine." He continues, telling her he wants to grow old with her. Karen is deeply touched by his sweet words, and her guilt grows stronger because she doesn't want to harm him in any way. She tells him she's going to take a shower. Karen secretly prepares a knife to end her life, but John enters the bathroom at the last second, holding another cup of his blood, and gives it to her to drink. Later, they go back to their room and spend one last intimate night together. The next morning, John wakes up and doesn't find Karen beside him. He enters the bathroom and finds a letter she left for him. In it, she tells him she loves him deeply and that their life together was perfect. But because she fears for his safety, she chose to leave, afraid she might eat him if she turns into a zombie. At the end of the letter, she tells him where she is hiding so he can come and end her suffering with a mercy shot. The place is an abandoned daycare center. John goes to the daycare with his gun, and finds her there in her final zombie form, after the infection fully took over her body and curing her became impossible. He raises the gun toward her, forced to put her down. She looks at him with her dead eyes as he prepares to shoot her in the head. Suddenly, the door bursts open and rescue teams flood in, searching for any survivors. They throw in a smoke grenade and storm the building, only to be shocked when they find John and Karen fully transformed into zombies, chained to the wall, with their hands tied together, as if to say their fate is one, either they live together or die together. One soldier asks his commander, "Why are their hands tied together?" The commander replies, "Because that's what true love looks like, son." With a heavy heart, the commander orders his men to finish them off. They shoot the couple, who die while holding each other's hands. And that's where the movie ends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.